And we're back. So
We're back.
another week. What is this? Not 56. So yeah, we're past the 1 year mark by a few weeks anyway. So
Yeah.
that's good.
Yeah, it's a good thing.
So
So
how's Mike doing?
I'm doing all right. Can't complain. It's busy here, as we've talked about, in the last few weeks. It's busy. You know how it is, especially now. It's October. Everybody wants to get their spook on. So,
Yep.
yeah.
You know, it's kind of funny because I've had three phone calls over the weekend wanting to know if we were open tonight. I'm like, open for what? They're like, well, for the haunted house. I'm like, there hasn't been a haunted house
Yeah.
here since 2013. And they're like, oh
Yeah.
no, yeah, there has. I'm like, no, there hasn't. So
Yeah. For
yeah,
sure there hasn't.
they still think there's a haunted house out at Ashmore Estates, so they still want to show up. And Ashley's had a couple of groups that came out there and drove up, and they get out, they're going to come in and buy tickets, and she's like, help you? I'm like, we're here for the haunted house. You're about 8 years too late. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
but yeah, it's just crazy sometimes with out there with like that. But it,
Yeah.
I kind of refer to this sometimes as paranormal amateur month in a way, which isn't bad, but it
Yeah.
because everybody and his brother wants to come out and do an investigation, and and so it's you get a lot of new people that come out. You still get some the regulars that have come out all the time, but you get a lot of new people that come out that have never done it before, and then the problem is that they think that they're going to have ghosts dancing in the hallways as they walk in the door.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, it doesn't always happen like that. So
Yeah. Got to be prepared for those quiet nights.
oh yeah, and that
Just
happens
in
sometimes.
case.
Yeah, sometimes more than you want,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, you guys got a big weekend coming up at the end of this month too.
Yeah, yeah. Saturday, October 29th, we have the event where we teamed up with Asher Walton House and just down the block. And of course, I think when I looked earlier, I think there are 6 tickets left. So 20 tickets total, only 6 of them left. Those are probably going to be gone pretty soon. So, anyways, watching and planning on wanting to go or whatever, you should probably get those tickets pretty soon because once they're gone, they're gone. So yeah, it'd be a fun time though. I mean, it'd be
Oh
nice.
yeah,
I mean, and we're gonna go back and forth. A few hours there, a few hours here, and just bounce back and forth throughout the night. That way, I think it'd be better that way instead of just like doing like a half a night in one place and then coming over and doing another half that way. So yeah, we'll
yeah, it'd
see.
be a little more fun. You get a chance to go back a couple of times there. So
Yeah.
let's do this. Let's play this. If you haven't been to Rhodes Hotel, and which
Mhm.
I can't imagine what you haven't, but if you haven't, let me pop this on here so you can see what it looks like a little bit. So
There it goes again.
yeah, hit the button again twice, but yeah, so if you haven't been to Rhodes Hotel, check it out, and come out there and make a night of it or day of it, and have a good time. And
Yeah.
you pop on their website, rhodeshotel.com, or give them a call, and Chris will set you up with an investigation there sometime, and
Yep. Yeah. Still.
you'll have a good time with it. So
Yeah. Still some dates open for the rest of the year. And of course, if you're looking for the rest for next year, get a hold of us. Let us know. we'll get you
Yeah.
booked for next year.
Oh yeah, yep.
Yep.
It's that time to do that. So check it out if you can. And
Yeah.
we had a pretty successful weekend over at Ashmore. We had Kids Day on Saturday, and which went pretty well, and made a donation then to Lost Limbs Foundation from that. So that
1,000.
yep. So yeah, that worked out pretty well. We were happy that that worked. That we had the kids show up with that, and Ashley's always done a great job with that, and Ron,
Yeah.
Turner's been helping her out with that as well, and so it's always fun to have those guys come out there. So check it out, and you can, if you're looking to book an investigation, give me a call or hit us up, send me an email, send me a text, and we'll get put it together and get something together for you.
Yeah.
We're
And real.
we've got
Oh, sorry.
we got people booking stuff in the winter still, and I keep warning them, telling them that it's going to be cold.
Yeah.
We don't care. Like, yeah, I've heard that before too. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
Yeah. I was going to quickly say, thank you for doing Kids Day, and thank you to Ron and Ashley, and Kristen was out there to help, and everybody else that's involved, and just everybody that's helping out with the event and stuff. And I appreciate how you do that, for the charity and stuff, and every little bit helps.
Oh yeah, we're glad to do it. That's what I always say. And then can I get this back here? There it is. And Sherry
Spoon.
sent that to me and said a long time ago. A lot of teaspoons fill the bathtub, and it's
Yep.
true. So, and our guest and I talk about what he does with some of his stuff like that too. But
Yep.
one other thing we've got going Ashmore in coming up November 19th, the doubleheader. We've got Chris and Mike will from the Tennessee Race Chasers will be out there, and they're going to be doing a daytime and a nighttime investigation. You can buy tickets to one, you can buy tickets to both. It's your choice. So that's going to be a good time, and we're looking forward to it. And having Chris and Mike again. This is about their fourth or fifth time they've been out there, so they've been out there quite a bit, and
Yeah.
looking forward to having those guys out there and doing that. And they've never done daytime, so doing a daytime investigation, it'll be a little bit different for them. And
Yeah.
I know the kids this weekend had some stuff that they had going on during the day. Some of the adults
Okay.
that have investigated before told me stuff that was happening while the kids were out there. So
Okay.
that was kind of cool in itself.
That's cool. Yeah. Yeah. That's good. Always nice. And like we've talked about before, there's a lot of times it's more active during the day than it is at night.
Oh yeah, that's when I've had most of my experiences was all during the daytime. And
Yeah.
but yeah, actually, her ears must have been burning. We were talking about her earlier.
Yeah.
So we won't say what we said. If she didn't hear it, she'll have to go back and listen to it when it's all over with.
Yeah. Yep. Got to replay.
That'll teach her to be late.
Yeah. Yep.
But,
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
but yeah, let's go ahead and get bring Dana in, and so he can kind of tell us about what's happening there with with what he does and all.
Yeah. I want to hear all about this because I've this is awesome.
And I was thinking if Crystal's listening, and I'm talking to you, Crystal, if you're listening, since she's going to be home this weekend, she should just come up to Rhodes and babysit Rhodes for you, and you can just jump in and go with me.
There you go. That's a possibility. I know she's been she's having to work some overtime, so I don't know if that's what's causing some of the issues, because I know she only has a limited time that she can take off because she's got that surgery coming up. But
well, that's what she's got. That's what she's doing, saving hours for that. But she doesn't. She can.
Yeah.
I forgot to turn the phone off. Somebody sent me a text as we were talking. Oh, I'm setting up a private investigation. We'll talk about that one later. But,
you're gonna be wandering off booking stuff while we're doing the show.
Yeah, I'll go blank and have to start doing something. But so let's go ahead and we'll get Dane in here and get things rolling with him.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, what's up?
Well, how's things on in Majestic?
Hey, happy to be with you tonight. Thanks for inviting me.
Thanks for being here.
We appreciate you coming out.
Yeah, this should be interesting. I've been reading some of this stuff. I'm ready to hear all about this because it's the first time I've met you. We've been talking through messages and stuff, but I'm all about learning more here. This is cool.
Cool. Well, I'm with Haunted Majestic. We're a seasonal floating haunted attraction in Huntington, West Virginia. And when I say floating, I don't mean disembodied, I mean actually on water. We have a haunt that is based on a World War II era military floating hospital. So it is actually moored on the Ohio River, and we give tours in the holiday season or Halloween season, both for people that are interested in haunting, and also after hours we do paranormal investigations and ghost hunts, and we make our facility available year round for people who want to do private rentals. And we've had everything from parties to a wedding on board.
That's cool.
Now, the first thing you got to know about it is like, how did you come up with this ship?
Well, actually, I do environmental work as a career, and I was doing some environmental work for a client who was going to dispose of this vessel, and they were going to send it for scrap metal recycling. And I just began to develop this tie to it and this sort of desire to not see it go away, and worked out a deal that I could actually purchase it from the owner prior to it going to be scrap recycled, and hired a towboat crew, and they delivered it up to us here a few years ago.
So here's my question: how long did it take you to figure out it's haunted?
Well, as soon as we got it, actually, as soon as I brought it in, the first weekend that we had it here, I was in contact with a local paranormal investigation team called PIT, the Paranormal Investigation Team is what they're actually called. Two of their members, two of their leaders came out, actually boarded the vessel and spent several hours on it for an evening. And I just wanted to get sort of a feel from them what they thought. And they definitely said, yeah, there's a lot of activity going on here. And their group, basically, we met in 2019, and they haven't left yet. They've actually got an office there at our facility now. They conduct all of our paranormal investigations. They do all of our tours. They work with us during the haunt season. So their group has basically found a home here aboard Haunted Majestic, and they've done all sorts of investigations, overnight stays, weekend long stays, and they've just developed quite a bit of data that they've actually created a website just for displaying that data that they've recovered and found there.
You mentioned something that I think a lot of us find, especially their owners of venues, because owning Ashmore Estates and then Los Angeles owns Rhodes Hotel, but we something draws us into these locations. And I met a lot of people that are drawn into buildings, but I've never met anybody that's been drawn to a ship. So it's kind of a unique experience. Although I do know I think it's the Goldenrod that was over by the Illinois River, and
Right.
it was a lot of few people were drawn to that, and it finally caught fire and it had to be disposed of and everything. It was in bad shape. It couldn't be saved. It was a wooden boat, I think, and
Yeah.
it's just I'd been on it a couple times and it was in bad shape. But yeah, being drawn to a vessel like that is kind of interesting.
Yeah, actually, I was researching an actual floating theater called the Showboat Majestic when I actually found this vessel. And I was in the Cincinnati, Ohio area, and the city of Cincinnati owned the Showboat Majestic, and they were going to sell it. And right across the river, I stumbled upon this vessel and developed a relationship with the owner. And then, several months later, ended up purchasing it. So, I've always lived along the river. My father worked on the river his entire life, served in the Navy during World War II. So, sort of the history of this vessel and its ties to World War II, it being originally manufactured in West Virginia, there were just a lot of things that just sort of tied me to it. And, I just had that feeling that, hey, this is something that probably doesn't need to be scrapped right now.
Yep, that's kind of the way I felt with Ashmore too. It was in pretty bad shape as far as cluttered and windows are all gone. Everything was it's like it can be saved. I think something can be done with that. And Mike's been working with Rhodes. It was in decent shape when we got it, but it needs some repair work. So there's always stuff to do to those to do to these locations.
Right. And, as far as it being, our vessel's in a little bit disrepair as well. But I mean, it's very secure and the hull is very good shape. So I mean, we expect it to float and be secure for many more years. And like you say, some of the other stuff, the windows, the roofing, some of those things can be repaired. And the fact that it's a little bit disheveled kind of goes along with the whole theme of the program.
Yep, very true. Yeah, I mean, how long did you say that you've had the place now?
We bought it in June of 2019, so we've had it basically a little over 4 years. This is our fourth haunt season that we're coming up on. Actually, we started last weekend, so this will be our fourth year. We're open 5 weekends prior to Halloween, and not only do we have the vessel, but we've developed into a quarter mile of a haunted trail going to the vessel, a quarter mile haunted trail coming back, and then we've developed a complete festival area that we call our midway or pavilion. We've got another 105-foot long paddle steamer, 150 passenger dinner boat that's actually up in our midway area. And this year we actually developed our concession stand, and it's a replica paddle steamer from the 1800s. So it's a complete river themed, military themed event.
That's awesome. And there's not that many around, right? I mean, like, from just what I read from what we've kind of talked about, that there's few.
Yeah, there are very few vessels in the United States that actually serve as haunted attractions. There's one not too far from you guys in Newport, Kentucky, which is Cincinnati metro area. It's called the USS Nightmare, and it is actually a Corps of Engineers dredge boat from the early 1900s. And then, of course, out in Long Beach, California, there is the Queen Mary, which has been used for a haunted attraction for many, many years. But the Queen Mary, I don't know if you've read, but it developed a lot of structural problems this year, and it's kind of in limbo right now. Not sure what's going to happen with it or who's going to step up and try to make those repairs and finance that. So, as of right now, the only two that I know of is our vessel and the USS Nightmare in Cincinnati that are operating.
Yeah, it's not. You can't just find the local contractor that comes out and works on that boat. It's a little more detailed than that.
Yeah, and the major thing with boats is you can't really do anything while they're in the water. You have to get them up on dry dock to do that. And our vessel with both barges combined, we're 70 feet wide and over 100 feet long. So it's not like you're just going to go to your local boat ramp and pull it out on a trailer. It weighs 1,150 tons, and you'd have to go to a commercial docking facility somewhere if you were going to do any major repairs to it. So it does have its limitation as far as the upkeep goes.
And there's probably nothing like that real close to you either, is there?
No, there's not. We have to actually go about 40 miles north to the closest one, or about 40 miles south to the closest one. And then a towboat to actually push us is about $2,000 an hour. So, it's not going to leave our home unless it absolutely has to.
I can understand that.
Yeah, that's one of the things I was going to say is like it's probably way more like here we had to do some work. I mean, it's a whole lot different there. It's probably a whole lot more costly with things with that, with you have to do stuff like that. I mean, to get repairs done.
Yeah, when we really were naive about that, or I was naive about that when, sometimes you make an impulse purchase and you think you're getting a great deal, and it's something that you can see the vision of what it could be, but you don't really understand the cost of what it's going to take to make it what it could be. And I was kind of in one of those situations. It just, continued to eat at the pocketbook month after month. And, actually, we have a full time maintenance guy who is there every day, 5 days a week, maintaining it and maintain, when you deal with floods, when you deal with ice flow, when you deal with debris in the river, your drawbridges have to go up and down, when there's floods or problems. And, you got to have electrical power to it all the time. So, we've got a full-time guy that's all he does is just manage the vessel itself.
Yeah, that's what you just said with that. I mean, that's things that I didn't even think of. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an extremely costly venture to do, but it's also personally rewarding to be able to, just sit and look at it, kind of like what you guys have there. You can just look and go,
Mhm.
I played a small role in preserving this and
Yeah.
allowing the public to enjoy this. And there's so many sort of gems in American history that are just going away. And I'm satisfied that I've like I said, played a very small role in trying to maintain this so that people can enjoy it.
Yeah, in fact, I didn't really know anything about the Majestic until you contacted me about bringing the Mystery Machine down there, and we talked about it, worked that out, and taking you down there. In fact, if anybody's listening, if you're in that area, it's going to be there this Friday and Saturday from 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. Down at the Haunted Majestic at the haunted house and all that they have there. So and Mike's sister bailed out on me. So if you're in my area here and you want to go down that way, especially after hearing about this chip and everything, get a hold of me. I got 3 seats available, and actually 4 if we want to crowd a little bit in the truck. So let me know if you want to ride down that way with me. But it'll be a good time. But from looking at everything, why do you think that the boat is the ship is haunted?
Well, it just has so much history. I mean, being a World War II Navy hospital barge that served, during the Normandy invasion at D-Day. There's documented more than 3,000 servicemen came aboard this with injuries that were sustained there during the invasion. More than 300 recorded deaths that occurred on board. Um, a lot of the ship, once we went in, it's been obviously almost 80 years since the war. So we went in and did some remodeling and started peeling walls back and different things. And we've actually found, one of the surgical suite rooms is almost completely intact. Um, Two of the morgues are actually completely intact. So we found a lot of the stuff that we put back the way that we believe it was back in the 1940s. So, I just feel like there's probably just a lot of memories that are tied up there, a lot of, um, just possibly paranormal type activities that just taking place there. And we've actually got a novel that we've written. We've done research and we've got a novel called Open Wounds, which is the history of the Haunted Majestic during its wartime days. And it's a historical fiction book about the doctor who oversaw surgeries on the barge and the mental anguish that the war provided as a result.
And a lot of times when you're renovating and tearing away and finding some of these little spots and working on those, it kind of stirs up even more activity.
Yeah, that's what I understand is that it does, and a lot of people have told me that water does the same thing. That when you have something that is like a boat or a ship or something that sank, that the water itself is a conductor or a generator of that. So, we've had paranormal investigations, like I said, for weekends, for overnighters, for just couple-hour rentals, and just about everybody that goes in has came out with a big smile on their face.
Yeah, that's always the best part is when people come in and rent the location, they come in and have a good time and enjoy it, and then they want to come back. And so yeah, I think that happens great. But now that ship, if I think I read through some of the history and all before actually when we first originally talked months ago, and wasn't it put together with like 2 different ships or something, or did I miss something in there?
No, it's actually two different barges. They did that. They built these hospital barges in a series, so they're flat bottom barges, so that when they did surgeries, that they wouldn't wobble or bob up and down in the wake of the ocean, and they would be relatively stable and flat in the water. And they made them in a series so that they could just attach the barges side to side and just hook them together with cables. And then you could have like a surgical unit on one, you could have a recovery unit on another, you could have a morgue unit on a third, or a dormitory unit on a fourth. So these two barges were connected together. One was a surgical suite, one was a recovery suite, and they were strapped together in 1943, and they've never been unstrapped.
Wow.
So almost 80 years they've been like that.
Yeah, and there's actually four gangways that lead between them. So two on the bottom deck, two on the top deck. They're two-story units. So actually, when you cross from barge to barge, you can look out and see that you're over top of the water. about 6 feet in between them, and they're actually bound together with cables and I-beams. So it's kind of eerie, especially at night when you're walking across this little gangway from barge to barge. And with the haunt, we travel across both gangways a couple different times. So it's kind of eerie to feel the wind blowing and the waves splashing while you're walking above.
Yeah, that sounds fun.
Even
you,
more
you
for
don't
me.
hear anybody. You don't hear any man overboarding like that throughout the night, do you? So
No, we are very, very strict on that. We do have 2 guides that go with each group that tours, and we are what's called a Coast Guard regulated attraction vessel. So we do follow very strict health and safety guidelines for our guests. And we've got life rings and safety floats and lights and rope and life jackets for everybody. And so it's a very safe and organized haunt. But it is still got some of that scare factor to it. The fact that that just getting out to it, you got to walk across a 70-foot bridge that's sort of got the metal grating floor in it that you can see through. And of course, when you get a group of 10 or 12 on there, it kind of wobbles and shakes and creaks a little bit. So you probably think the whole time that you're not going to make it back, but you always do.
yeah, I always tell somebody like that we had not lost anybody yet today. So
Right, exactly right.
that just sounds. I mean, I could just see people starting over that bridge like, oh hell no, I'm leaving. I'm not even going this far.
Well, we have had that. We've had people that we've really had to convince and talk to, and we've even had a few that decided to just sit there at the beach and wait until their family came back. They wouldn't do it. So that's not an uncommon thing. Probably a couple people a night decide that they'll just wait there until their family comes back.
Even with me on crutches, I'd be like, man, I'd find a way to get on there somehow. Yeah. I'd crawl
Yeah,
if
like
I had
when you
to.
mentioned about the life jackets and things like that. I mean, that's something I didn't even really think about because I ran a haunt for 10 years, and here in our building, and so I didn't even think about stuff like that you'd have to have on the ship because you've got to, you know, being on water. There's a whole different set of rules and regulations and everything. I mean, it's a ton different than having a location on land. You got to, you got to deal with both of them now.
Yeah, and it's extremely. There are a lot of regulations, but they're all there for good reason. But yeah, I mean, we've got fire extinguishers mounted every 20 feet, so we've got over 50 fire extinguishers in there. Um, it's very, it's not really accessible where you can drive a fire truck right up to it. So we've got our own fire protection systems on board. We've got ladders that are stationed going into the water at all points around it. So if someone were to go overboard, there's a ladder that they can climb back up to get up on the vessel again. So yeah, there's a lot, and we do have trained people that are there that are just in that rescue mode all the time with the life rings and all the materials that they need to pull someone out should they go in. But everything is fenced and everything has got the railings that meet OSHA standards and such. So it would be very difficult for someone to get into the water unless they actually tried.
Right.
Since you've had it, have you had any really crazy paranormal stories you can tell us? I mean, any things that you've experienced?
Well, not me personally. I mean, I'm not there that much at night. I'm there in the daytime, but I've you hear a lot of banging when you've got metal hulls and they're in the river. Then any kind of driftwood that hits into it, you get a big clang. You get a lot of creaking and moaning, like a bridge kind of swaying. So there's always noises there, and every time a boat would go by, a towboat goes by, then the wake and the waves from that cause it to creak and moan. So it's a creepy location. I haven't personally had any incidences there myself, but there just about everyone that has spent quite a bit of time on there does have a story to tell.
Yeah.
Well, with the natural sounds of on a vessel like that, with the metal clanging and everything, it's a really easy way to hide a spirit sound because you don't know. You're always assuming, oh, that's just the wake and that's just the water, and I'm just going to go with that.
Right, right, and we had some people come on board last weekend that just they said, "Hey, can I just come on for a few minutes and just see what I can hear or see or whatever?" And this lady came in and she said that she could hear music at one location when there was no music playing. She said she heard two men talking in another location when there was, obviously no one else on board. So, it's a lot of people are more perceptive to that sort of thing than what some are. And then obviously you got to have the belief that there is possibly something there in order to probably hear that or converse with it. So maybe I'm just a little bit more numb to it than what others might be.
I kind of go with the idea myself when I'm out there and I don't hear a lot of stuff and all this because I think spirits in the building that I have look up and say, "Oh, it's just him. He's just in here working. Just leave him alone. Don't even pay attention to him." So I mean, you could be the same thing with you. They look like, "Oh, that's just Dana. He's just in here to take care of whatever he's got to take care of."
Right. And we've never had an incident to where we've had any type of, adverse reaction or violent reaction or anything. A lot of people talk about, how the paranormal may be angry with you. Everything that I've learned and everything that I've talked to about people that have toured our vessel is they said that they feel welcomed there, that they feel like the residents are lonely and they want someone to talk to or they want someone to visit with. So, we've had pleasant experiences from all the groups that have toured.
When people were here, like I have those times, like, well, like me being here all the time, Robin being there all the time, and with you being there, I mean, there's times that like when people will come in and they'll hear a noise or something, and being here as often as I am, there's sometimes I can be like, oh, it's just that, or it's just this, and then there's a lot of those times too. I'm like, I don't know what it is. So yeah, sometimes you can explain some of that stuff, and sometimes it's just like I don't know.
Right. And we get that sometimes. We'll hear like, you can tell when like wood hits metal, what the sound is. And then also when metal hits metal, you get that vibration
Yeah,
or that ring. Well, a lot of times we'll be like down in the hall and we'll hear like what we think is driftwood hitting it, but it leaves that metal vibration and that ring. And you think to yourself, well, obviously there can't be anything metal floating along and hitting this. So where is that metal coming from? That bang. So yeah, there's just a lot of things you can't explain that
yeah,
occur. You just chalk it up as the unknown.
yep.
Just kind of put in your mind that that's just common occurrence. There's nothing in here.
We get a lot of breezes in there too, and even though it's indoors, seems like you'd always got this breeze flowing through, but then you go outdoors and there's really not a breeze. So we can't really explain that either. With the haunt, we've got a lot of like plastic sheeting that hangs or cotton spider webs that are hanging and things like that. And you look over and you're like, well, that plastic is just really flapping in the wind, but there's not any wind. So, you know, kind of weird stuff, but that's all goes with a haunt.
Yep.
When we ran I live in an old movie theater, and we had our haunt in the basement of the movie theater, and we used to take our corridors for our haunt, and we strip like it had like streamers hanging down, like material that we ripped in half, and it was kind of cool. Sometimes I'd be down there working. A friend of mine and I were working one night, and those streamers just parted in the middle, like somebody just walked through the middle of them. And there was nobody there but the two of us in the entire building, and we were watching the things ourselves. And nobody walked through those. But yeah, so I'm sure that some of your volunteers there at the ship have had some experiences as well.
Yeah, well, we have a lot that have, and like I said, that those that spend a lot of time on there, or those that have spent the night or spent multiple hours during the darkness hours, it tends to be obviously more active at night. I don't know if it's just your imagination works with you more at night because you can't see everything that you can see in the daylight, or if we're just programmed as humans to kind of be scared of the dark but not scared of the light. So we sort of invent things that might not be happening. But yeah, it definitely seems to be more activity at night and seeing people seeing or claiming to see shadow figures, things like that. um, they bring in the REM pods and different types of devices, and they get, all sorts of activity from that. Lots of EVPs and things like that. So, there's definitely, um, a lot of fun activity there to see and do.
Here comes my question. I ask this question to everybody that comes on after kind of getting into the paranormal field and learning about all these other locations and stuff. Do you have a location like anywhere in the world that you're just like, I'd like to go there?
Well, definitely, probably Dracula's castle in Romania. I mean, Romania just has this, the eerie Dracula, the Vlad the Impaler type lure. So, one time on eBay about 15 years ago, I bought some authentic sand from the basement of Dracula's castle. And I even got a certificate of authenticity with it, so I know it's real,
That's
But
pretty cool.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I only had to pay $10 for a little Ziploc bag of that sand. So it was kind of weird because it came from a guy in Missouri, but I don't know how he got it. But yeah,
Well, you never
definitely
know.
Maybe visited.
probably I would like to see some castles in Romania and just kind of look at some dungeons and just kind of see the structures of multiple centuries ago and kind of think about what may have happened there or what things may have been like in that era.
Yeah, that would be awesome. That's good choice. I like that choice. Yeah.
So when you decided to buy the vessel, did you have a haunted house in mind, or
No, we actually had a
real-
restaurant in mind. We were
Okay.
going to make it into a family restaurant. We were going to moor it at a riverfront park and actually refurbish it. And about the time I bought it and started to work on moving it here, then the negotiations with the city where I was going to put it kind of fell apart, and they kind of decided they weren't really as into the idea as what I was, and I'd already committed to this, and so there's not a whole lot of things you can do with a 80-year-old barge once you've bought it and your plan falls through. So we went ahead and shipped it here to our property, and then came up with some alternative uses for it. And this was, it sort of just fit. It's like, well, this thing is kind of dilapidated. It's kind of been vacant for a few years. It's got the look. Let's turn it into like a family haunted attraction that people can enjoy. And we've developed the whole Haunted Majestic Family Fear Park around that idea, to where we've got a lot of stuff on land and on water that everyone from 8 to 80 can come, and there'll be something they can relate to and have fun with.
I think it's awesome. I mean, I love the thought of a haunted house, but I mean, if I'm looking around for a place to go to, I see your place versus just going to a regular haunted house. Obviously, I'm going to go with the choice. I mean, there, because there's just like we talked about earlier, there's just not any of those locations really around.
Yeah, and that's kind of our draw, and that's our intent. And even in addition to that, we try to make it different to where, most haunted houses are focused on just pure fear or over the top gore or over the top scares. So we've kind of went in and tried to do, we want it to be fun. We want everybody in the family to enjoy it. We want you to be able to bring your 10-year-old kid and they'll have a good time and not go home with nightmares. Or bring your 75-year-old mother or father with you and they'll be able to relate to something. So, I mean, we've created that midway area, to where like this weekend coming up, we've got Robin and the Mystery Machine coming in. So if you were a child of the 60s or 70s that you're 50, 60 years old now, you're going to be able to have that tie and go, oh yeah, I remember Scooby Doo. I remember that van. Um, and then our trail, we're so much different than everyone else. We have on our haunted trail just things that I can think of off the top of my head. We have a fire truck, we have an ambulance, we have a plane that's crashed, we have a houseboat, we have a cabin cruiser, we have a driving RV, we have a camper, we have a city bus, we have a school bus, we have a coal mine, we have 2 tunnels. So we've just, turned it into something that you're not going to see everywhere else. So we just want to be that unique haunt. And sort of our mantra is we're not the goriest, we're not the scariest, we're just the most fun.
And that's kind of that's kind of what I tried to do when we had our haunt here. I wanted to make it entertaining more than anything. I wanted people to come out and say they had a good time. If they got scared a little bit, great. But as long as they had a good time, and we really emphasize on decor, trying to make sure that we had every room as much stuff to see that you could possibly see that when you walked in those rooms. So, so somebody would come through, and the first time they come through, and the second time they came back, they're like, I didn't even see that the first time I was here. So, just different things and all. But I always enjoyed building it and putting it together, and but I always was glad when it was done too.
Yeah, that's kind of I'm the same way. I really enjoy the lead up to the haunt, scheduling all the guests and developing the entertainment and coming up with a schedule and actually building the props and everything. And then the actual haunt itself is not as much fun for me as that prep. But then obviously when November comes along, man, it's like a sigh of relief. And you think, man, we got a whole year before this happens again. And before you know it, it's August and you're hustling again. And, it's like you really didn't even get a breather. So there is a lot of fun for, a lot of different aspects of it.
Yeah, I can't
You know,
imagine the work that goes into it.
Yeah, and just the upkeep of it is the big thing. I mean, in the wintertime, we have flood here from the rains and the snow melt, and our river goes up about 25 feet in actual depth. So, our barges are on what's called spud poles. So we have big, huge pipe that are driven down to bedrock in the river that stick up about 60 feet out of the water. And these barges are actually moored with a hoop ring welded to them to where they slide up and down on those poles. So they're about 20 feet from the shore, 30 feet from the shore during the summertime. And then in the wintertime, when we have that snow melt and the river raises 25 feet, your barges are about 200 feet out in the river and all that trees are floating by and all the floodwaters are going by. So, there's a lot of sleepless nights in the wintertime and the springtime when we are dealing with floodwaters. So, obviously we've had to employ, backup power sources and, we've got emergency pumps that kick on should we have a leak. We've got water sensors that detect the halls if there's any moisture. So we've had to spend a lot of money and time to actually get these things retrofitted to where we can sleep at night.
yeah,
Wow.
I'll just take that building out in the middle of the prairie doing nothing but just sitting out there. So
Yeah, yeah.
where my worst nightmare out there is a possible tornado situation though. So
Right. And, we all have those different weather scenarios as we just saw, unfortunately, with the folks in Florida there. I mean,
right.
every sort of region of the country has its own adversary when it comes to the weather. So, in your neck of the woods, obviously, you got to worry about some tornadoes, and in our area, it's thunderstorms and flooding and things of that nature, and so it's just something we have to deal with.
I've seen that
Sounds like
this weekend you've got Jeremy Ambler is going to be down there on Friday night, and then you've got some of the folks from Dawn of the Dead are going to be there on Friday and Saturday.
Yeah, every weekend we have special guests that come in and special entertainers. We've got Jeremy Ambler, who was in 2 seasons of The Walking Dead TV series. We've got 3 actors: Gary Marlatt, Joe Shelby, um, and Sharon Hill, that actually played in George Romero's Dawn of the Dead movie back in the 1970s. So zombie movies and things like that are very big draws. So we bring in actors pretty much every weekend. They're included with your admission. The admission is $20 per person, and then you have access to all of our stars and entertainers while you're there. So they can come up and get a picture with the Mystery Machine and go in our gift shop boat and actually get a photo with one of the actors from one of the movies. And then we've got the World of Wonder Magic and Illusion show that goes every half hour. And we've got the fire felon who's going to be doing fire breathing. And we've got a local zoo that's coming that's going to bring reptiles and snakes and lizards and things for you to interact with. So,
Wait, did you say
and some
snakes?
face painters as well.
I think you mentioned snakes. I
Yeah,
just
yeah.
had an email that I've got to be out of. I can't make it this weekend. I don't do snakes.
Yeah, a lot of people don't. So that's kind of why we brought them, because what's creepier than being at a haunted house and someone comes up beside you with a 15-foot python?
yeah. Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
we had rats in our haunted house one time. I thought it'd be kind of creepy when people were crawling on their hands and knees, and then I had a cage with rats at just about eye height on their side, and the lights would kick on. The problem was that I put a dead body type corpse in there, and the rats burrowed inside of the thing and never came out. It's like it was totally worthless. It didn't work at all. So
Yeah, that happens sometimes when you have a great opportunity or a great prop and it just doesn't work right. Um, last year we had an animatronic man who was playing an organ. We had the lights all hooked up to the organ and the smoke machine coming out the pipes and everything going real well. And about 30 minutes into the first night, the guy's head falls off. So those things
that's what I
happen.
hate. Now he's a headless organ player. That's fine. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that scenario is not so bad,
yeah,
really. You could keep
he
rolling
can
with that.
he can live with that. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
unless he's worked in his mouth and everything. But yeah. Now with your haunted house, we always used to have a little paper set up to the side where we used to mark things with people that left early or people that came out with possibly like just lost control of their bladder. You have a few of those things like that happening there.
We do. Last weekend, actually, one of our actors after the haunt came up and said, "A lady slapped me twice tonight." And we're a no-touch haunt. And I said, "Well, why did she slap you?" And he said, "She said that I made her wet her pants." And I said, "Well, then that was probably a fair trade. If you caused her to wet her pants, you probably deserve to get slapped." So I said, "We'll just have to live with that one." But yeah,
Yep.
we've got a few spots throughout the haunt that are uh, pretty good like that get really give people a good scare.
Yeah, and that's what's fun too. Is like when you hear that, and I know we used to at the end of the night, we'd always have everybody get together. We'd have food available for everybody at the end of the night. We had in my garage area, which is a pretty good sized garage, and we'd go back there and sit, and everybody would eat and talk about the stories because somebody that's in one room has no idea what's going on in the other rooms, and so we'd trade stories for like an hour and a half of what happened when people came through. So I'm sure you guys had the same situation there, that people talking about different stuff.
Yeah, and I'm always wanting to go home when it's all over. And the same thing happens, like you say, everybody gets up in the pavilion area and they've changed clothes and they're wanting to stay till 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. And I'm like, come on, guys, let's get out of here. Let's get out of here. So, but yeah, everybody just likes to have that unwind time to sort of just, get a cold bottle of water and reminisce a little bit about how the night went.
Yeah, I mean, it
Your
sounds like a lot of
paranormal
fun.
team. Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
No, go ahead. I was just saying it sounds like a lot of fun. I mean, there.
Yeah, your paranormal team that kind of runs things for you. Did they do that like year round, or is it just certain times that they host events and host the investigations there?
Yeah, we do private rentals year round. If you want to come in and rent it yourself, or bring your team in or your family in or whatever, you can rent the facility. It's $75 an hour with a minimum of 2 hour rental. And as long as you're not on a night that we're already booked, I mean, we do that 300 plus days a year, provided that we're not in flood where we can't get out to it. But the paranormal team, Pitt, they have about 6 or 7 events throughout the year on a weekend. They always do something on Friday the 13th. Typically, they do an all nighter on Friday the 13th if there's one or more of those in the year. And so we always have at least one Friday the 13th usually on the calendar. We do something on 4th of July weekend. Um, we do something in fall in conjunction with a local festival called the Mothman Festival, which is about 30 miles away. So we kind of work in conjunction that weekend because there's big crowds. So we do paranormal tours that weekend. And, we do something on Valentine's Day weekend typically. So, there's 5 or 6 weekends throughout the year that we do ghost tours. In addition to during haunt season, we do one every night. When we close, we quit selling tickets at 11, and we're typically done by about 11:30 or 12. Then at midnight, we do paranormal tours for 90 minutes. So we do no more than groups of 10 maximum, and we do 2 groups a night. So you can buy a ticket for that after hours and actually go on with the team, and they'll have 1 or 2 guides that go with you and provide the equipment. So anyone who's just an interested novice all the way up to a professional – can take those tours and enjoy themselves.
Yeah, that sounds great. I think it'd be a good time to for everybody to get a chance to come out and do some investigating and all. And I'm looking forward to coming down there. And you mentioned Mothman, and that's my plan on Saturday. It's like taking that 30-mile trip, which I think it's farther than that. But yeah, just running the 30 miles there, and since I'm going to be in the area, I got to run up there to Point Pleasant and check things out.
Yeah, just about every weekend, our guests from last weekend do the same thing, and pretty much everyone that figures out how close we are to that, it's on the same road we're on. It's basically about 35 mile drive. Is on Saturday afternoon or Saturday morning, they all want to go up and see the Mothman. And the in Point Pleasant, it's very well, it's Mothman City, and there's a big museum there. There's a gift shop there. There's escape rooms. The Low Hotel, the historic creepy hotel where the Men in Black reportedly stayed during the government's investigation of it. So there's a lot to do there in Point Pleasant and around that cryptid, and it's a real good time.
That's awesome. You can literally just jump right on the same road and just drive right there, drive right
Yeah,
Pretty
back.
much, yeah. In fact, I need to go back and look at some friends of mine, Brad and Barry Kling, who used to have a TV show called Ghost Lab. They told me that they investigated a place that's about an hour south of you that was just a really strange whole situation there where there's a big tunnel they had to go through, and they talked to the police, and some of the police in the area said we don't even go into that town. And so I need to find out where it is and maybe have to make a trip down that way just to check that out also.
yeah. There's a lot of stuff around here. West Virginia is actually ranked as the fourth most active paranormal state in the United States. And there are a lot of just about all the towns in this area are old Civil War type towns. So they all have that 150, 200-year-old hotel that's haunted, or the old city hall or county courthouse that's 200 years old. Um, there's an old hospital in Williamson, West Virginia that's reportedly very haunted. So there's a lot going on down this way, and we've actually got a local tour company that does bus tours to all the different haunted locations. You can buy a ticket, hop on a tour bus, and
Hmm.
spend about 2.5 days going from site to site to site and visiting all these in one trip.
Oh wow, that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, that's neat. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, it, but yeah, just checking out your website. I was looking at this earlier. I mean, your website. You talking about different vendors. You got a Carter's Barbecue is going to be out there, and a lot of other stuff happening out there. Though, pretty much throughout the entire time.
Yeah, we've got a barbecue company that's here, and we've actually built them a replica 1800s steamboat with paddle wheel boat as their concession stand. So they're actually in their own little boat now, and they serve meals all night long, pretty much any type of food that you might want. Um, so we've got that, and again, we've just tried to make it an entire good time for the whole family. Um, Lots of different things to do. We've even got people that come in and say, "Hey, I'm not here to do the haunt. I just want to meet the guests, or I just want to, see one of the show cars that are here." We have a show car every weekend of every year. So, obviously this weekend is a Mystery Machine. Next weekend is one of the Jeeps from the Jurassic Park movie. The following weekend, we've got one of the surviving General Lees from the Dukes of Hazzard. And then the last weekend of the month, we've got one of the Ghostbusters Ecto Ones. So every weekend, we've got something like that going on. We've had the Munster Mobiles, Christine, just about every type of horror movie car you can think of. We've probably been at Haunted Majestic at one time.
Hmm.
That's awesome.
It helps with the queue line too. It gives you a little more people that can enjoy things while they're waiting to get inside and all. So they're not sitting around for an hour or something like that, just doing nothing but twiddling their thumbs.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's exactly our thought, is giving people something to do the whole time so that they're being entertained. They can watch a magic show, they can interact with a reptile, they can, get their photo made with a show car. And then, of course, we've got some photo stations, some banners on the wall where you can stop by and do photos with that and post them on your social media accounts, or like you said, stop and get you a barbecue sandwich and eat. And We've got a gift shop on a paddle wheel boat here that you can go in and get a T-shirt or a hat. So we just want to make it a full entertainment evening for the family.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
really looking forward to it. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to coming down there and bringing the band down is great, but just having a chance to to check out the area there and what you've got going on and kind of gets me back involved with the haunted house stuff. No, I'm not thinking about ever turning Ashmore Estates, for anybody's listening, into a haunted house again. That's not going to happen. But yeah, it just kind of sounds like it'd be a fun time to go down there.
Well, we guarantee you'll have a good time.
Trina.
I mean, that's what we're all about, is just letting everybody go home happy. And I think we're excited to have you down here. We're definitely excited to add the Mystery Machine to our list of movie cars and related cars that have been with us. So we're really looking forward to your visit, and we're hoping maybe you can get Mike to tag along with you.
If we could
we'll
talk
see.
Crystal
Yeah,
into coming up and watching. Tell Crystal
we'll
to get her
see.
butt up there to roads and check things out. So
Yeah,
you still got a couple days to figure that out. So maybe it can
yeah,
happen.
yeah. That's true. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, I mean, I love it. I mean, like I said, it's different. I mean, I'm all about something like that. And I mean, after talking to you and hearing everything that you guys have going on down there and everything, yeah, it'd be awesome.
Well, we'd love to have you anytime you'd like to come, or if you guys want to come up sometime and go see the Mothman and come by and visit us, we'd love to welcome you in any time of the year.
Well, thanks. I appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
I've been by that way a couple different times. Not as I'm going to St. Albans, Radford, Virginia. It's a little ways away from me because I looked that up to see how far it was. But it's 2 or 3 hours. I forget what it was. But yeah, I go down to St. Albans down there. I've got to go down there in April of next year to speak at a convention. And so yeah, looking forward to in that area again.
Yeah, sounds great.
But let me see here. I'll put I think I've got it still here someplace. If you want to check out Dana's website, and Dana's website is at hauntedmajestic.com. He's got a lot of information on there about his, the haunt and the paranormal side of things as well. So, and a lot of history. I mean, some great history about the vessel and what you're doing and all with it. So it's really it's interesting. I spent quite a few minutes there looking at everything. Even while we're talking, I kind of glanced over here and checking it out. So, but yeah, check out his website.
Yeah, about everything you'd want to know is on there, hauntedmajestic.com. And then, like I said, also, if you're interested in learning the detailed history of it, we've got about a 200-page novel called Open Wounds that's available at the haunt, or you can email us or message us through the website, and we can mail you a copy of it. It's $10, and it has about 40 or 50 photos that are involved in the history of the vessel itself, and talks about basically its origination all the way up to today.
Yeah, I'll have to grab one of those when I'm down that way. So, but yeah, like I said, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's about 8 hours, so I'm going to leave it probably by 7 o'clock in the morning my time, which is like 8 your time. So I should be down there in plenty of time. But I'll have to. I probably have your phone number someplace, but I'll need to grab your phone just in case I run into a problem along the way. But
okay.
Other than Mike's been with me before, and when I say problems along the way, you never know when you're pulling down the trailer. I've had people almost run into the side of me trying to take pictures and things like that as I'm going someplace. So, stupid things happen, and people are just they get crazy and they slow down. And I've had people slow down almost to a complete stop, waiting to catch up with me on the highway so they can take pictures. So it's like it's almost dangerous. And sometimes the gas station stops are 45 minutes long, trying to get in and get gas and get out of there before people are taking pictures and all. So it's like. I tried to find gas stations that are off the road where I could get in the very back row someplace and kind of hide and fill up real quick and get out of there. Because at 8 miles a gallon, 7 to 8 miles a gallon, it's not like I get to go down very far down the road before I got to stop again. So.
Right. Well, that's where you need to get an enclosed trailer and hide that van a little bit. I mean, when you're got it on display like that, I mean, you're going to have to put up with the questions.
Yep. I thought about the enclosed. Then I got to think about, okay, now I got to buy a diesel truck probably to pull the enclosed because the wind resistance to get that much more, and then you got to buy a tall enough one to get the van in. So it's like,
Right.
yeah, it's like so I kind of like I'll just kind of cut it down quite a bit with what I'm doing. So I think yours is actually the first one I'm going to be to this year. We haven't we haven't done anything else, and we got just a couple more. We're going to be in Scarefest, and then going up to Grand Rapids, Michigan. Other than that, that's about all we're going to do this year with it.
Well,
So,
we're glad to be one of your 3 stops. Like you said, I messaged you here several months ago and talked you into bringing it down. So I'm really glad that you agreed to share it with us this week.
so, but no, when looking forward to it, and we appreciate you being on tonight and with us.
Yeah,
And,
thank you.
So it's like we're gonna catch up with you, and I'll get there. I'll try to get there early too, so I can make sure that we can get things out. I'm not gonna show up right at 7 o'clock because I gotta get it off the trailer like we kind of discussed and all, and set
Right.
up and ready to go. And I mean it's drivable, so that's not a problem. But it does have the strong arm steering and no power brakes, no air conditioning, no heat. It's just it was a California van that they used out there for the studio, so that's all they did with it. And
Sounds good. Well, you won't have to drive far. We'll pull you right back there to where you're going to be and roll it right under our covered pavilion and right in the center of our midway and let everyone who comes to visit this weekend enjoy it.
sounds good to me. So,
Awesome.
yeah, we once again appreciate you coming on tonight, and look forward to having you, this weekend talking to you and getting to check out the area.
Definitely looking forward to it. And thank you again for having me on. I've had a good hour with you.
Thanks
Oh,
for
no
being
problem.
on. Yeah.
All right, thanks much, Dana.
All right.
We'll see you
Bye-bye.
this weekend. Night.
Night.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Hey, you don't get to be the only big words there.
That was interesting. That's cool. I mean, it's something different, and that's good. I like that.
Yeah, it's kind of cool having a ship that's haunted, and they're
Yeah.
doing a haunted house there, and there's so much history behind it too that
Mhm.
goes back 80 years or whatever. So yeah, it's kind of that whole thing's kind of cool, and yeah, looking forward to going down there and seeing what they've got there with the ship and everything, and then checking out the area. I think it'll be fun. So,
Yeah. That's
but,
awesome.
and let's see. Next week we've got. Don't we have a couple of nobodies or something next week? Or what?
There's a couple of nobodies that's going to be
That's
blabbing
what I
next
thought.
week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'll be a surprise. We'll leave it at that. So
Yeah. It'll be a surprise, right?
and yeah, it'll be a little different. And,
Yeah. So got to make sure you tune in.
yeah, Trina, you're right. It is different. I think it'll be
Yeah.
it's a different. When you have to for those that I always mention websites and all, but that website there, I'm going to pop it up here again.
Yeah.
Go check it out because the history on that thing. I mean, let's talk about the Normandy invasion that this ship was used there, and 3,000 people were treated, and I was thinking probably 10% or so of those people that were treated probably died on that ship, and that's exactly the number that he pretty much said, like 300 and some people died on it. But they basically married these two barges together to make a hospital.
Yeah.
And so it's just the whole history of that thing's just kind of cool to to when you read about it and everything. So yeah, it's just different. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be kind of looking forward to seeing the ship and seeing what they're doing down there. And then the haunted house stuff's kind of cool too, because being involved with the haunted house for years, it'll be that much better. But still looking at the website there right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, on my other screen. So, but that's it for this week. So that's all we got. But yeah, we'll be back next week with a couple guests. So stop in and check them out. A couple of nobodies.
Yep. Make sure you tune in. A couple of nobodies.
Okay.
Yep.
So good night, everybody. We will chat with you all later.
Yep. Thanks for tuning in.
My name is Mike, and I'm the founder of the Lost Limbs Foundation. The Lost Limbs Foundation is a 501c3 nonprofit organization that provides assistance to amputee children in need of prosthetics. I started the charity after my own struggles after my leg being amputated just above the knee. Prosthetics cost thousands of dollars, and the average lifespan is 5 to 7 years on a prosthetic. Kids are constantly growing, so they'll go through multiple prosthetics throughout their life. This is the prosthetic leg that I use, and the cost was about $70,000. The Rhodes Hotel is in Atlanta, Indiana, and is owned and operated by the Lost Limbs Foundation. We are currently doing photo shoots, ghost hunts, and special events to help raise money for the charity. For more information, you can go to lostlimbsfoundation.org. With your help, we can help these kids one step at a time.